talk about spinning. So I have lots and lots of spinning paraphernalia around me, and I noticed that I had issues with comments last time because I couldn't see the comments, and so I am going to attempt to see if I can find myself going live so that I can, let's see, maybe keep up with comments. At least that's the idea. So I'll see if I actually manage that, but I don't know. So I have several different spinning items with me. I have my spindle, which is over here. So this is a spindle. It has some roving no longer attached to it. This is, I think, some colored Rambouillet. Super nice stuff. But this is a nice little drop spindle. It's a nice wood drop spindle. And let's see. See if I can get this pulled up, maybe. Boy, this is so easy. It's so easy to find the things that you need so that you can see yourself going live and check your comments. Yeah. Anyway, lovely drop spindle. This is probably a pretty common foray into spinning because with the drop spindle, it's an inexpensive entree. It doesn't take a lot of money. You can try out spinning. It gives you an idea for how drafting and twist works on a much smaller, slower scale. So drop spindles are a great way to get into spinning, and this one happens to be a lightweight one. So if you're spinning thicker yarn, you need a heavier spindle. If you're spinning finer yarn, you need a lighter spindle. And you can make spindles out of all kinds of things. There's like CDs and clay and stones, and really the most important thing about a spindle is just that as it's spinning, it is balanced so it doesn't wobble back and forth, because when it wobbles, it takes away some of the centrifugal force, so then it slows down faster, etc., etc. So balanced spindles are really important. So I do have a spindle, and I can drop spindle for you all. Let's see, and then of course this is the big one. I have my Kromsky Sonata, which I'll set up here in just a minute, and then over here I actually have an electric eel wheel nano. So this is a little itty bitty electric spinning wheel, which I was actually spinning on this morning until Ina discovered what I was doing, and then I wasn't allowed to spin anymore because she decided that it was very interesting what I was doing. So anyway, let's see. This is really frustrating. I was really hoping that I could just like log in on my tablet and I could see what was going on. There we go. Maybe I found it. Maybe I found it. Because all I really want to do is make sure I don't miss your comments. I felt so bad because I missed all your comments again last time. Yay! Yay! Finally, I can see myself and see what's going on. All right, nice. Put that over there so I can check for comments. Okay. So what should I do first? I don't know. Let's I'll set up my wheel and we'll talk about wheel care, and I will tell you kind of what's going on. So this is also for later. That's my little spinning apron that I like to wear. Okay, so the Kromsky Sonata is super nice because it's basically a fold and go wheel. It's really, really easy to set up, and it doesn't take much prep. So I just have to take my flyer head out. So this is my little flyer head. And look, I even have a little dab of spinning on here still. Good for me. I have not had my poor wheel out in ages. Like, it's probably been a couple of years, to be perfectly honest. And Heather, just be quiet. Yeah. Let's see. That's That's good where it is, and I gotta remember where my, where are you? It's been so long since I've done this. It's been so long since I've set up my wheel. Usually I pop this out, and then it's just a fold and go. But I am missing something. What am I not doing right? Hang on a minute. This is what happens when you don't spin on your wheel for 2 years. You forget what you were doing. Aha! There it is. That's what I was looking for. Super easy. This comes out. This goes up. And my flyer band. Let's see how bad it is. Actually, it's not bad, even though it hasn't been spun on for 2 years. I might need to order a new one though, because that's not great. So this little piece just goes in the back here, just like that, just like that. And now my poor wheel, because I have not spun on this for a couple of years. And this is the inbuilt Lazy Kate. That's what this is over here. This probably needs some love and attention. So, oh yeah, oh yeah. My poor treadle connectors are stiff, and my flyer's a little stiff. So I may find as I go to set this up that I have some issues, because I have not spun on this in 2 years, and that's not a good thing. You do want to spin on your wheel pretty regularly. One of the things that I like about my Sonata is that it's really easy to adjust. I kind of like my orifice somewhere around where my hands usually sit naturally. I don't like to hold them too high or too low. I like to spin right there on my lap. Let's see. I really might need to get a new flyer band. I have to tell Tina we might have to put in a Kromsky order. And getting the flyer band on is always the fun part of these too. I actually have a cotton drive band on my Ashford Traveler, but I do prefer the elastic of this nylon band. All right, let's see. I've got it on my fastest whirl. I don't really want it there. I'm gonna go medium whirl. Okay, and now the most important thing, because again, I haven't spun on my poor wheel for like 2 years, so it's going to need a lot of oil, like a lot of oil. Hi, Kathy. There we go. Now I can see comments. Hot diggity. Okay, so I also don't have all my pieces here. I gotta grab them. So this is actually a Nitty Naughty. Does not it's not part of your wheel, but it's nice for pulling your skeins off when you're done spinning. And here's a bobbin. Oh my god. So like 2 years probably, maybe 3 years since I spun this. It's been hanging out, sitting in my bag. Isn't that sad? It's terribly sad. Let's see. Ooh, and there's the little pieces of my inbuilt Lazy Kate. So these guys just go in like this, and then your extra bobbins can hang out here while you're plying if you want. But here's what I was really digging for. This, and I've got to find somewhere in one of my pockets here. I should have, oh, there, up in there. Ah! My orifice hook. Those are very important. That one happens to have come with my wheel. And then my tension on my bobbin, and I can't remember what this is called at the moment. It'll come to me eventually. 3 o'clock in the morning when I am, you know, waking up to take care of Ina, I'll remember what this is. But this is very important because we need to make sure that we have the proper tension on our okay, this is gonna be a pain in my butt. Yeah, I can't get it with that. Where's my, there's my little orifice hook. Use this one. Nope, not even that one's gonna work. Alright, fine. I'm not gonna put it in there. I'll just wrap it around. So this is for your tension on your bobbin, on your flyer head. And it's important to have some tension on there, because if you don't, oh, your bobbin just goes around and around and nothing ever wraps onto it. So you have to have something on there that is keeping your tension going, right? So, and this is probably not even on. There we go. And usually I leave this in, but the last time I used this, I must have been really prepping it for a move, or thinking that, you know, I wouldn't be using it for a while. So I had to take my poor little tensioning piece off. There we go. Oh, sometimes people, sometimes I'm just really not prepared for this, even though I was trying to be prepared. So, care and feeding of my wheel, that's going to be the next big thing, because again, I have not spun on this poor thing for so long. So one of the first places that I'm going to oil is, there's this little tab right here in the front of my wheel. That's one of the friction points. So you're oiling friction points because you want them to move slowly, or you want them to not have friction. So you want to use the oil to prevent fires, essentially. We don't want fires with our wooden wheel. That would be really bad. Speaking of which, I had a smoke alarm that went off at my house last night, so that was really fun. Everything's fine, totally fine, and it was just an electrical outlet that decided to spark. But yeah, that was really fun about midnight. So let's see, another place, there's actually a little leather piece right here on the back of my flyer, between my bobbin assembly and my flyer. And this also needs to be oiled really well. And then I always like to put a drop down here where, again, I've got my spindle assembly through here that's holding all this on, and I just want to make sure that, you know, I don't want to start a fire, so I just want to make sure that everything is wearing nicely, that I'm preventing as much wear as possible on my wheel. I probably am not going to spin on this today because I need all of this to soften up. It does help that I'm outside right now and it's a little bit warmer, because that is going to help soften up my poor treadling mechanisms. Oh, they're sad. Yeah. So I'm just going to treadle for a little bit and try to stretch out my treadle assembly. There's a piece down at the bottom of my treadles, and that keeps my treadles moving gently and nicely together. Yeah. Poor bobbin. Oh, uh-oh. And there, that's something I didn't pay attention to, was that I had a little dab of yarn on my bobbin, so now it's made a mess while I was treadling. But look, we all make mistakes and things happen. It's not a big deal. The good part is, I really like undoing knots, so. All right, so while we're talking, spinning. When we spin, we always start with singles. That's what this is a single that I am gently untangling. And no, it doesn't look too bad considering it's been a while since I've spun. That was a pretty nice single that I was working on, and I love purple. Who doesn't love purple, right? Okay, some people don't love purple, but I love purple. And of course, having my injured finger doesn't help, because as I was spinning this morning, I discovered that it was harder to spin than I thought it would be, because the way that I usually draft, I couldn't draft that way anymore. Yeah, it was just not happening. All right, so we usually start with singles, right? Because we have to have something with which to ply. So once we start with our singles and we're comfortable with them and we get them spun, then we ply. And there are different ways of plying. There's 2-ply, 3-ply, 4-ply. Honestly, you could do 10-ply if you really wanted to. Although I don't really know any hand spinners that do that. But you could potentially do some kind of 10-ply thing. See if I can get this rolled back on. And I'm not going to be spinning this, I'm just going to sort of roll it back onto my bobbin here. So There we go. Roll it back onto my bobbin. So once you have your single, you can leave it as a single if you want, but it won't be very strong. Whereas if you ply it, then it will be much stronger. So even a 2-ply is a lot stronger than a single. And one of my favorite ways to ply is actually chain ply, where you do sort of this crochet hooking motion through loops. It's really fun, and it makes a really nice yarn as well. And let me just see if I've got enough oil in there. That's looking good. So the first thing that I did was oil it. When I put my wheel away, I should have said this earlier, it wasn't dusty and it wasn't dirty. If my wheel had been dusty and dirty, the first thing that I would have done would have been to clean that, because you don't want a dirty wheel to have oil added to that, because then all you're doing is just adding to the dirt that's already on your wheel. Because when you spin, that oil does get used up in the friction process as the pieces move together, and it does create a little bit of a gunk that you occasionally have to go in and clean. So like Q-tips are really useful for that, or small squares of cloth to help clean up those dirty areas. Alright, another thing is if your wheel is really dirty, you might consider using some wood soap on it. You want to make sure that you don't have a lot of extra lint hanging around on your wheel. Sometimes, especially in the grooves on your flyer, I've got some here, I will end up with just like a little bit of gunk. I don't know if you can even see this, but just a little bit of gunk that is like little bits of fiber that have collected in my flyer, here. And I have different ratios, so this one's currently on the middle ratio. I don't remember the numbers on this because I usually spin to feel. There are some people that are very scientific about it, and you know, they work out their ratios and all kinds of stuff. I spin because it makes me happy, so you know, I spin because it makes me happy. So I'm not super scientific about it. I'm scientific about a lot of things, especially with knitting and my tatting. But, you know, I spin because it just makes me happy and it feels good. So, oh, and Kathy says, yeah, her wheel spins really finely, and so she tends to chain ply as well, but she wouldn't use it for socks because the little bumps are uncomfortable. So, you know, the chain plying, if you are doing a super fine yarn, yes, you can definitely feel the bump more, but if the single that you make is tending towards a like a light fingering anyway, so this single that I had spun, you know, would be a lace weight, but if I 2-plied this, then it would be more of a fingering weight. This would actually chain ply pretty nicely, and I don't think that the bumps would be as noticeable on this. So I feel like I would be a little bit safer chain plying that if I really wanted to. But I'm pretty sure that my intention was to do a 2 or 3-ply with that, because I still have a pretty good chunk of my fiber left over, which I found again when I was looking for all my stuff today. And now I'm actually gonna have to sit down and spin and like make sure I get my poor flyer stretched out and my treadle assemblies. Oh, they're so sad looking. Yeah, I'm gonna have to heat those up and stretch them a little bit and see if they will continue to work, which they may or may not. Okay, what else do I need to talk about? So feeding your flyer in terms of oil, feeding your spinning wheel in terms of oil, and then cleaning your spinning wheel, cleaning your flyer, cleaning your ratios. Your bobbins should also be cleaned regularly. If you look at your bobbins, you'll notice that they'll start to develop some gunk around the point where you have your tensioning, and you'll notice that there's two different sizes on my bobbins here. I've got a larger ratio and a smaller ratio, so you can use those to speed up or slow down your bobbin as well, because that just puts, again, a little different tension on things based on how tightly you're tensioning. And this is a Scotch tension. It's my preferred tension. I know a lot of people like double drive. It's not my thing. But if you love double drive, that's fabulous, and you can talk all about it in the comments and how wonderful it is, and more power to you. It's just like I don't like toe-up socks. It's a personal thing, if you like it, that's great, and you should totally do it. It's totally your thing. All right, so when I sit down to spin, the things that I do, I like to wear this little spinning apron, and I bought this ages ago. I mean, I do mean ages ago. But it's just a little short apron, and it has a bunch of pockets on it. And I don't think I've kept anything in here. I might have, though. I better check. No, good, okay. And I just like to wear this because I can put my little tools in here. If I need to, I can throw my phone in here, and I can keep all my stuff handy. Sometimes I just stick like my bottle of spinning oil down in here so I have it. Sometimes I have extra orifice hooks that I keep in here, and it also keeps like the little bits that fall out of your spinning kind of in your lap instead of on your pants or on your skirt, so or on your bare legs, because if you wanted to, you could, I mean, honestly, you could just spin in your underwear. No judgment here. So when you're spinning, though, a lot of times you'll get little vegetable matter bits that will fall out of your fiber, especially if it's something that you've hand prepped from locks yourself. You know, there's a lot of different things that can happen with your fiber, and I just like to wear my little apron. What can I say? I just like to wear my little apron. So I'm trying to think here. What else do I need to say? When I sit down to spin, I make sure I have my apron, I have my wheel oil, I make sure that my wheel has been prepped and oiled well. I make sure that I have my fiber, and there's lots of different fiber preps. There's locks and bats and roving, and my preference is always roving. I like roving best. But again, that's a personal preference. And I like dyed roving because I just like the pretty colors, but sometimes I will spin solids, like I was spinning on the Electric Eel Wheel Nano, because you know, they have their application too. It's just, again, I do this for fun, so a lot of times I just want color, and I just tend to make sock yarn or fingering weight yarn because that's what I use the most of. So that's what I know that will go in my stash easily and I can use later. But every spinner is different. Some of you will love chain plying, some of you will hate it. Some of you will love 3-plies more, some of you will hate it. And that's okay, because every spinner's journey is just a little bit different, and we all come to it in a little different way. I started with a drop spindle, and I do love my drop spindle, and I'll spin a little bit of drop spindling here in a minute. But I love the efficiency of my wheel. It's expensive, it's an investment, and it's one of those things that if you aren't going to spin a lot, you may not want to invest in it. I used to spin a lot more than I do now, and mostly I just worry about Ina sticking her fingers in here, so I haven't been using my big wheel, but she was okay. She didn't do too badly with the Electric Eel Wheel Nano this morning, and in fact I'm almost wondering if I shouldn't have bought the latest version that came out, because I actually really enjoyed spinning with the little Electric Eel Wheel Nano this morning. And it's super lightweight. I set it on my side table, and I was just spinning along. And like I said, I also discovered that it's really hard to spin with my cut finger, because the way that I spin is, you know, is not conducive to like not using this finger. So I had to spin kind of oddly this morning, and I was going really slow as a result. So we'll see what happens when I try to like drop spindle for you, because it may just like, might be really bad. Let's see, so fiber prep. So whatever preparation of fiber you have, if you haven't been in your fiber for a very long time, raise this in my hand, you may want to just go through and sort of open your fiber a little bit, because you may find that there's just a tiny bit of felting or webbing that has occurred as your poor fiber has been sitting and you've neglected it while you've done many other things in the last like 2 years. So sometimes it's useful to just sort of open your fiber up. You can sort of pre-draft, and like this one I can feel is one of those that I have definitely neglected, because when I'm pulling on this and it's not, there a little bit came apart, and it's not really coming apart. Ooh, yes. So I would probably go through and break this into strips and pull the strips apart, probably at least down into quarters, and then I would fluff each of my strips out before I started spinning it, if I were doing that. Oh, I lost. That's the other thing, is your fluff flies everywhere. At least, oh, there it is. At least if it's stuck to your apron, it's not going anywhere, right? But fluff that out, give it a little bit of a toss. It doesn't hurt anything. And then I use sort of a hybrid. A lot of people will say, oh, I love short forward draw, or I love long draw, or whatever. I do kind of this weird hybrid because I taught myself to spin sort of before YouTube was really popular. So yeah, because I learned to spin in like 2003-ish. And so I do kind of a weird hybrid short forward draw. But it works for me, and that's really the most important thing, is that it works for you. And you know, there's different preps of woolen versus worsted, which I talked about a little bit a while ago, where with your woolen prep, your fibers go every which way, and with your worsted prep, they lay side by side. The only true worsteds that you can get are combed worsteds, because you can make sure that all of your fibers are laying directly side by side. That is done with combs, which I don't have. I only have cards because that's what I like. So here's my hand cards. Not that I really use these much, and I actually use them more as a flicker than an actual carder anymore. And I will flick locks open so that I can spin them occasionally. I don't do a lot of lock spinning anymore. I don't do a lot of spinning anymore, to be quite honest. But anyway, oh, hi Annie! Hi Annie! I miss you. I miss all my black sheep people. And I can't even come visit because there's no Oregon Flock and Fiber Festival in September, which is like super sad, right? Anyway. I mean, it's good because, you know, we don't want to spread this COVID-19 thing, and I want you all to live, but it's also bad because I do miss seeing everybody. So, okay, what was I talking about? The cards and combing and worsted and woolen. Okay, and then there are worsted spinning styles and woolen spinning styles, and the long draw, if I remember correctly, and oh, dear Lord, Heather, Danielle, you might have to correct me later. I'm pretty sure that the long draw is for a more woolen style and the short draw is for a more worsted style, but dude, I could be totally wrong about that because I didn't look it up, and I you know, I spin because it makes me happy. And so I just kind of spin in whatever way makes me happy. Anyway, so I think I've got my wheel cleaned up enough and warmed up enough that I will try attaching a little dab of my fiber, and we'll see if it'll work. And then if that doesn't work, well, I've got the drop spindle and the electric eel wheel. So one of these preparations will work. And I know that I have this a little too tight. There we go. I'll roll off a little. Oh yeah, I totally unspun that. That's not good. This has been on here a very long time too. So maybe I should put it on my... no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So here I've pulled apart my yarn, but the beauty about yarn is that when I lay those ends back together, they are going to work together. Now I did notice that I've got a little bit of a tight spot down here, so I'm going to have to pull this to open it up, because I have to open this back up so that I can lay fiber together within my drafting triangle, and that's between your first and second hand as you're drafting, to try to make sure that I have enough fiber that comes together that it catches so that it doesn't pull apart again. Okay, now usually I would be using my index finger and I would be drafting with my index finger in addition to my middle finger. And instead I'm having to do my middle finger and my ring finger. But it's not that bad, and this is some super nice stuff. I don't even know what wool this is that I'm spinning right now. But it's nice stuff. And you'll notice that you have to pinch if you do any spinning. You've got to pinch where your twist is coming into your drafting triangle, because if you don't, the twist enters your giant chunk of fiber down here, and then you can't do anything with it because it already has a little bit of tension on it. So you have to make sure that you keep that pinch going. And there, I got a little too much. Oh boy, and the geese are coming back. Fabulous. We're gonna ignore the geese. I got a lot of wildlife around my house right now. A deer eating my garden, a possum in my barn, and the geese are back on my pond, and oh my goodness, yeah. Now, if as you are spinning you find that you know, you've pulled too much fiber out and you've got a bit of a slub, you can stop and you can actually hold your spinning, and you can actually check it for your twist and your ply as well there. But you can hold your spinning and you can sort of work that slub out. But it's totally up to you. And although I can never remember which one's S and which one's Z, I usually do my singles so that my wheel's going clockwise and I ply counterclockwise, and that's just something that I do personally, and if I always do it that way, then I don't make mistakes when I try to ply, and so it's just one of those things. I also have very bad posture right now because this is not the seat that I usually spin on. So I actually brought up one of my spinning stools. This is a little spinning stool, and I totally spin barefoot. You can't see my feet, but I like to spin barefoot, or occasionally if it's really cold I'll put socks on. But there's something about being able to grip the treadles with your toes. Yeah, there's something about being like barefooted and being able to grip the treadles with your toes that I just really, really like. That's also part of why I like spinning, is it's kind of this whole body experience for me, if I'm going to do it. So that's one of the reasons, even though I bought the little electric wheel, that like I really do love. I love my big spinning wheel. I don't take the time or have the opportunities that I should to spin. I do other things, right? I mean, I'm sewing, I'm cutting out a quilt for my niece. Oh, well, I hope Caitlin's not watching. But yeah, I'm cutting out a quilt for my niece, and you know, I've been making the tiny socks. I'm still making tiny socks because I'm totally on socks again. And I haven't spun for a while because I've been doing other things, but I really do enjoy it. And if I kept my wheel set up, which I probably could keep it set up downstairs now because the dog, Abby, is probably not going to bother it as much now because she's not a puppy, so she doesn't chew on his stuff as much. But like when she was a puppy, I absolutely kept my wheel folded up all the time because I did not want her to chew on it. And I actually have an Ashford Traveler too, and I would like block it off with stuff so she couldn't get to it, because she was a power chewer and I just knew that she would try to chew on that. So anyway, I don't know, I love my wheel. And the thing is, once you own a wheel, it can stay there. It's not like you have to use it all the time. It does benefit from regular use, so I should probably, you know, at least get this out quarterly and try to do a little spinning on it. And it is, like I said, it's really soothing to do this. And again, my posture is really bad. Like usually I would be sitting upright, but my posture is really bad because I am not on the right, height stool for me. So that is also important. If you are like having pain while you are spinning, you should not be in pain while you're spinning. So if you are in pain, then you need to change your seat, you need to change your posture, you might need to move forward, move back, you might need a higher or a lower stool. If you can move the orifice on your wheel, you might need to move your orifice higher or lower. You might need to turn it to the side a little bit, because you do want to try to prevent pain as much as possible when you are spinning. So hey, I didn't do too badly after that rough start of remembering how to unfold my poor wheel. And And we got her going. We got her going. So she's been spun on at least a little bit. Let me get this out of the way. So let me move my wheel now, and we'll take a look at that drop spindle. So here's my little drop spindle. Drop spindling is, you know, it's one of those super portable things. Super portable things. And that's really nice. It's nice to have, those portable things. A lot of drop spindles have a little notch in the side, so that your working yarn will come up into that notch, and then I usually like to take mine and make sure that I've got it sort of double loop wrapped around onto my hook. That's a personal thing. You don't have to do that, but it's one of those little things that I do. And then again, because you know, I always try to pay attention to what I'm doing, so I always spin so that I'm going clockwise. And then oh boy, that's a nice little spindle too. Got lost my fluff. That's a problem. Let's not lose our fluff. This, I'm pretty sure, is colored Rambouillet. Super nice. Super fluffy little, again, the woolen prep. It's not a worsted prep. But with your little drop spindle, just give it a little spin. And then again, I cannot draft properly because my fingers hurt, but just like that. And a super fine, lovely Rambouillet. And usually I would be doing this with a larger piece of my roving. So let's see, get this going again. I'm just gonna lay this together. And I was doing a very fine yarn on this one. Gosh, I haven't drop spindled in ages either. And this happens to be a Bosworth spindle. The Kromsky spindles are super nice as well. And the key to these is really just the weight, making sure that it has enough weight to keep spinning, and that it's balanced. So, and again, you can make these out of like CDs or stones. You can make them with polymer clay. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do. I don't think I'm going to be super successful. I need to stand up. So I have always found that I drop spindle better when I'm standing, which is kind of nice because, hey, you can walk around and you can drop spindle, and then you can show off your talents to people, and they'll think, oh my gosh, you're just super coordinated. If you're not really coordinated, I don't recommend doing that though. We do not want people walking around and falling down, because I recommended that you take a walk with your spindle. But hey, there's our drop spindle. And this is a good way to make sure that you have good posture as well, because you stand up straight while you are doing your drop spindle. And anytime it stops, you just give it a little nudge again, and off it goes. And it's doing the same thing on the drop spindle that we were doing on our wheel, right? We're just adding twist to our fiber, and we're pulling it out to make it yarn. So, fun stuff. There we go, a little drop spindling. When I store my fiber on my drop spindle, I always kind of wrap it up several times around the base of my hook, and then it will just sit there so that it's ready to go the next time I get it out. All right, there's that. There's that. Oh, and here's the electric one. So let me move this. This is just a little spindle bag that I had made ages and ages ago. But it has little slots where you can slide your spindle in so that it hangs out, and then it has space down in here for your roving. And if you wanted, you could actually like throw this over your shoulder or whatever and take it with you. And you could like spindle on the go, because hey, you've got all your stuff with you. So I always thought that was really cool. Just move this out of the way for now though. There's that. And I have actually used it spindling on the go occasionally. Okay, here's the little electric one. So there are lots of different little electric wheels. This one happens to be the electric eel wheel Nano, and it's probably a little bit hard to see that, so let me just tip this down a bit. And there, tip it down just a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Sorry, it's a little bit cockeyed now, but anyway. So here is, here's my little electric eel wheel Nano. So the electric wheels are cool. Some of them have foot pedals, some of them don't. This one doesn't. This is an inexpensive starter version, but I thought it was really cool because, and I actually backed the Kickstarter, but all the little bobbins come in pieces. So you can put your bobbins together and they just like snap together. So you can, make your bobbins, but they store kind of flatter, which is nice because, my others, they don't store very flat. And it is electric, and I did buy the adapter. I didn't buy the battery pack though for it yet, which I need to do. But, for at-home use or like in the camper or whatever, super convenient little guy, still lets you spin. Comes with a little orifice hook, which is kind of nice. Orifice hooks are very important so that you can thread your yarn through. And it's variable, so it has a little knob here on the side. And, uh-oh, I don't have it. Oh, I don't have it turned on. Hang on. It does have a little switch, too, so you can either go clockwise or counterclockwise. And, I have mine set, of course, to go clockwise. And there it's going nice and slow. And you just move the little knob and turn it. And there we go. Now it's got some draw. So I like this because Ina kind of left it alone for a while, and then eventually she figured out what I was doing and got curious, and I had to give it up. But I do like this little wheel. The little bobbins aren't going to hold as much. It's probably the one drawback here. And I don't have my take-up set quite right, so my poor singles are not wanting to roll on properly, so give me just a second. I have too much twist, so I gotta let some out. There we go. That'll help a little bit. And I'm just gonna wind some on while we're talking. I really like this. I like it more than I did the first time that I used it. Definitely can say that. I kind of enjoyed getting a little bit of spinning done while I was watching my morning news, and it was quiet enough and small enough that Ina didn't really notice. And there are lots of other models on these electric wheels. There's bigger ones. I think this is one of the smallest ones, but there's bigger ones. Some of them are made of wood, some of them are made of plastic. It's just a little difference, and you can, this one's kind of nice because you can adjust the, there we go, take it up. You can adjust everything. And anyway, I don't have everything set quite right because I had to put this away earlier and I think I bumped something. But anyway, I'm really enjoying my little electric wheel here, much more than I thought I would. Although, for me, nothing compares to my big wheel. But if you have hip problems, or, let's see, I must not have my setup just quite right there. If you have hip problems, foot problems, can't treadle, this might be an option for you because you don't need to treadle. It moves for you, which is kind of nice. So that is my little electric. Yeah, I kind of like it. I do kind of like it. I need to see if Kromsky has an electric one. I should try out theirs as well, if they have one. I do like Kromsky. I do love my Kromsky wheels. It's my favorite wheel that I've ever used. And I've used Schacht and Ashford and Lindrum and yeah. I don't even know what all wheels I've used now. I've used a lot of them. But the Kromsky happens to be my personal favorite. If you have the opportunity to try wheels out, that's the best thing you can do before buying one. If you can't do that, then you can always buy your wheel, and if you don't like it, you can sell it, try another one. That was one of the beautiful things about being able to go to the Fiber Fests, was that a lot of people would be like, sure, sit down, try my wheel, or there would be vendors, and so we'd have wheels there so that the vendors would have you try them out. So that is one disadvantage of not having our fiber festivals right now, is not being able to try out wheels before you buy them. But I do have to say, I love my Kromsky. So, are there any kind of basic questions that you have that I haven't covered? I mean, this is like a really fast overview of spinning. There are so many things that we could get into in terms of, the woolen versus worsted and preparations and like washing fleece and dyeing, and I am no expert on dyeing. I can do some research, but I am no expert on dyeing. I can talk sheep. I did come from a sheep farm, so I do know a little bit about sheep. But I have to say, I'm enjoying doing the spinning again. I was gonna spin this, but then I discovered I already had some in my bag. Ina stole my fiber this morning, so she was walking around like petting it, playing with the fiber, and I had to go rescue it to get back in the bag. So who knows, maybe she's going to enjoy spinning one of these days. And this is a little orifice hook that I just made myself. I just took some wire and I just kind of bent it and made a little handle, and it's just a little wire orifice hook, something really easy that you can pop through your orifice and grab. This is a wraps per inch tool. So this one's the 1/2 inch, this one's 1 inch, and what you do is you take your finished yarn and you wrap it not too tight and not too loose, sort of normally around it, and then you can count how many wraps you have. So that's really nice as well to have hanging around. And then of course I love having my Nitty Notty. This one happens to be the Kromsky Nitty Notty as well, and super nice because it pops apart into 3 pieces, and I can just stick it in my bag and I'm good to go. Nitty Notties are super fun to wind. It's very soothing as well, sort of like spinning is. Okay, any questions? If there's no questions, let's see, did I answer all my questions? I think so. Good. So if there aren't any questions, then let me leave you by saying we have a special sale at Black Sheep going on. We have books on sale right now, including my Froth and Foam, my lace book, which is 25% off, and we've also got Curls 2 and Curls 3, 25% off, and then 40% off some of our other books. And those sale prices are just reflected on the page. So when you go to checkout, the price it is the price it is. We've already discounted it. Tina is doing a big sort of clearance checkout for the yarns. We are sort of streamlining some of the yarns that we've had in the past. We aren't going to carry anymore, so we're clearancing a bunch of stuff. So make sure you're checking out that clearance section on the website. She's going to have a special day or two soon, very soon, and she's going to tell you about that, where you can go visit the shop, make an appointment. That's very important. You go visit the shop and you can check out the clearance pile. We're going to have some really great deals on yarn so that we can help clear that out, make room for some of the new stuff, because I bought new stuff today. I'm so sorry, but I did. I bought some really, really fun Sea Silk and from Handmaiden. This is all from Handmaiden. So I bought Sea Silk because Tina's doing that t-shirt knit along soon. So you can use cotton or linen, or you can use the Sea Silk. And yes, she does know the pattern is in German, and we are going to be translating that so that you guys can knit with that fun little pattern. Just a fun little t-shirt for the summer, because hey, why not? It is like super muggy here. I could totally use a nice lightweight knit t-shirt out of some Sea Silk, I'm just saying. But I ordered some Sea Silk, so we'll have a little dab in stock if you want to join in on the Cal. We're also getting in a little dab of Casbah. Super nice merino cashmere, also from Handmaiden. And Tina's got a thing for veggie fibers, so I might have ordered some silk and linen. Silk, technically not vegetable fiber, of course, that's an animal fiber, but the linen qualifies. So really, really nice stuff. It's called Fliss, I think, from Handmaiden, so I ordered that today as well, and so that will be on its way. Yeah, lovely stuff, really, really lovely stuff. She's really kind of excited about that. She just loves linen. She loves linen. And I love the Nua. I like having the linen as a blend in the fibers. Adds just something a little bit different. I love the Nua. Tina's gonna send me some Nua so that I can maybe start working on a sweater pattern, maybe, if Ina gives me a chance. Anyway, and oh good, and see, Kathy says that Tina is knitting up the translated version to make sure it works, so we're on it, we're trying. Let's see, so we have all kinds of knit-alongs going on. I just finished the socks, but if you have questions about socks, you can always send me your questions. I don't mind answering those, or we can always do it in a chat. Let's see, another option is that you can also, let's see, you can also do, oh, my lace knit along. My lace knit along is going to start next week, next Monday, so I'll talk about gauge and needles and all kinds of stuff there with the lace knit along for my Elroy shawl. It should be available now on Black Sheep Fiber Emporium. It's also available at Ravelry if you'd rather go that way. We've got some great yarn. You can use pretty much any of your light fingering lace weight yarns. Takes around 600 to 700 yards ish. You can use more or less. You don't have to make it as big, or you can make it longer if you want. So it should be super fun little knit along with Elroy, and that was from my Jetsons group. So I had a bunch of what's the word I want? Kits that we did with yarn, and they were all based on the Jetsons. So that was Elroy. Anyway, so lots of knit-alongs coming on, lots of clearance coming up. Tina's going to announce, I think Friday maybe, when she'll be sort of unofficially, officially open for appointments and for groups. So anyway, until next time, till Monday when we talk about our next knit-along, you know, stay healthy, keep crafting, have fun. If you have questions, go ahead and pop them up and I'll try to get them answered, or send me a message. And we'll keep doing these and keep having a little bit of fun. And I will see you guys next time. So take care.